Richard Marles, Australia's Deputy Prime Minister, displayed quintessential foot in the mouth, avant-garde foot in the mouth. He perfected the art of foot in the mouth in one fell swoop, committing young Australians to join the next useless US war. So what's the word in Chinese for knucklehead? Not only by trolling Australia's largest trading partner, risking again blowing up billions in export revenue by upsetting China, but also US foreign war. Where did he do this? Well, he did it. He declared these immortal words at a summit on Monday that Australia could play a role or would play a role in any future war between the United States and China. A great idea, Richard. Why? Why would you say that? What would the result be? Destroy the Australian economy? They're 40% of our exports. Why would we go to war against a country with nuclear weapons, 3,300 aircraft, 350,000 members just in the Air Force alone, 66 submarines, 2 million active fighters and the most advanced Air Force in the world? What does it achieve? US-China war, we would be in, bellowed the headline on the Israeli newspaper. Rupert Murdoch's masthead held the conference itself. He was sponsoring the Israeli newspaper. They, News Corp, was sponsoring this defence conference. Now, when would News Corp not find wholeheartedly that going to another US war was not a great idea? Nobody cherishes war more than Rupert. Nobody. He's behind every useless US war, whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan, probably Vietnam back in the day. The headline should have been, "Hey Marles, get off the Charles." But then Penny Wong said, "Hold my beer," and entered the fray to run the Israel self-defense narrative. Israel's so busy defending itself, bombing all those 6 countries. She declined to rule out striking Iran as well. When asked by Natalie Barr on Sunrise if Australia would pitch in invading Iran if the Donald asked us, Pentagon Penny should have said no. Instead, she waffled about Australia not being a key player, refused to rule it out. Why couldn't she just have said no? It is an illegal invasion after all. It's counter to international law and human rights. She didn't say no. She avoided the questions. And then, again later in the week, demanded that Iran needed to come back to the negotiating table and talk about nuclear disarmament. Hang on, they were at the negotiating table with the US when Israel invaded them and blew up the negotiating table. Literally killed the negotiators, who apparently were keen on doing a deal. They had to get their next war going, so Benjamin Netanyahu stays out of prison for fraud. Elsewhere in the scam of the week land, NACC, the National Anti-Corruption Commission, we like to call it SNAC, the secret National Anti-Corruption Commission, has done something. They have done something. Don't faint. This very week they thundered forth with the result of their inquiry into corrupt payments for Brittany Higgins, because Lynda Reynolds wanted them to investigate this couple of $1 million that went to Brittany. Public money. Was it corrupt? Well, Lynda Reynolds must have been shattered because the NACC found no corruption. But here's the thing. This came hard on the heels of NACC's earth-shattering debut investigation the week before. It wasn't even theirs. They took it over from somebody else. They investigated a couple of Serco prison guards on Christmas Island giving SIM cards to detainees, to these desperate asylum seekers. Now, what deep and egregious corruption is that? But to crack down on desperate asylum seekers locked up for years in our detention regime, seriously, it was their first public finding. Nothing on Robodebt show yet. Has to be scratched, start again. It's a complete joke. And finally, scam of the week, the right-wing media nutjobs were in apoplexy over Albo's snub by Donald Trump. There was Albo flying to Canada to the G7 to tackle Donald on matters of high importance to Australia, like tariffs and so on. Epic failure by Albo, they said. Epic failure. The fact is, Trump was just having to deliberate on America's next war and had to fly back to Washington. Albo missed his chance to have a conversation about tariffs. So all that is still up in the air. But let's face it, we're just not that important in the world, and they know we're going to do what we're told anyway. However, that is an absolute beat up on Albo. Thank you for listening into Scam of the Week. Please like, share and comment in the section below, and if you can support us on Patreon, because this stuff costs money to create, that would be much appreciated, and we'll see you on the next round.